Hey, what's up, bros? I hope you weren't waiting too long. My God. Got seven jump in the chat immediately. It's crazy. So, as to not to go into too much crazy detail, excuse me. Yeah, one reason why I have sunglasses is because there's this big old, these big old mansion windows. By the way, this isn't a mansion. This is just the academy, but, Warthog School or whatever you want to call it. So, I'm going to take these off so I don't look like a D-bag. And that way we can talk about some self-defense stuff and some health stuff. I hope that you're into this because this is really, really important if you really want to be an improved human being. Even I need this. I made a commitment to myself that I was going to start doing judo more, and even I broke 2 bones in my feet doing jujitsu. My knees have been banged up for years. My shoulder was pinched nerve in my neck. So I had all these physical things that were wrong. But it's easy to bitch about it and complain about it and stuff like that. But when you're, doing this as an athlete, you're gonna get hurt doing athletic stuff, period. If you're good at what you do, then man, I'm happy that you're genetically so blessed to be able to go play football or baseball or basketball and never have a fucking injury. So lucky you. I have broken this collarbone, dislocated this knee. Something happened really, really bad. I don't know what, we were jumping over a wall or something like that, and I wasn't wearing tactical boots. I don't know what I was wearing, but I came down on concrete like that and came down on my heel, and for a whole year I was limping. And see, at the time it was like during a drawdown, and I was like, oh my God, if I go to the clinic or if I go to the hospital, and I can't run or I can't be deployed, then I'm screwed. So fuck that. I'm gonna deal with the pain. So for a whole year, I limped on one foot. I don't recommend that. Now there's other stuff like DMSO and stuff that's non-narcotic and things that I like talking about for inflammation. So if you want to be a bodybuilder, if you want to be an athlete, you're going to go through so much pain just to make those little bit of gains and stuff, but I can teach you how. So, but what I want to talk about is the dangers of being in Mexico. And the dangers here are very much, they're either organized or very disorganized. And conflict comes in the stupidest shit, like guys in taxis that want to fight in the street, with like crowbars and stuff. And it's ridiculous, but it's true. It happens. And so today alone, we have dogs all over the street dogs everywhere. There's 2 little dogs and they're playing around and stuff. So I get my big dog and I run down there and they're playing around and stuff. So I go walking back to my house and this kid smarts off to me like I was trying to get my dog to attack these little dogs. Like, I'm a dog rescuer. I don't do that shit. So he started to get smart with me. And I'm like, really? You really want to go there, man? I was like, but look, man, we're obviously we're having a miscommunication. All right. So, but there's no reason for you to be disrespectful towards me. See, they answer to that. You follow me? They take words seriously. Okay. So, and here's how I turned it around because he called his dad and his uncles and everybody else came out there to throw down with the professor. So, but then they suddenly realized, oh shit, you just picked a fight with John Wick. And I was like, no, guys, it's okay. It's okay. Look. He didn't know whatever the fuck he was saying. And I took it as disrespect. Now I don't want to beat the kid up. I don't want to hurt the kid. I'm not saying any of that stuff. I'm just saying this is ridiculous. Now I'm going to show you guys a diagram on the chalkboard up here. Because the guy he was trying to square off with me, but I was always at a 45-degree angle. He was squared off of me directly as like a boxer. And the best he would probably do, he was a righty for sure. and he probably walled me pretty good if I'd let him. But there's no way in hell he would have been able to touch me. But that's not the reason why I bring this up. The reason why I bring this up is because Mexico can go fucking south really quick if you decide to make enemies with the fucking wrong people. And so my first year here, I'm already the enemy because I don't look like them. I don't dress like them. I have a whole lot more stuff than they might have. So there's this envious air about them when they look at you sideways. And remember that? You guys ever been in school or something like that, or somebody had a problem with you and they looked at you like sideways, like that shit? They're just walking along and they're fucking looking at you sideways. Well, that's what I was getting for a whole fucking year. And for me to respond, you guys understand something. I have my own fighting style that's a combination of Muay Thai, kickboxing, and jiu-jitsu. However, I use what is called brawling style. Brawling style is what would happen in like jail. We don't get in people's faces and push and do all that stuff. Brawling style is slam on the ground, hard as possible, knock them out. Put your knee on their belly immediately, hold them down to control the wrists. If they remain conscious from that point on, they're going to turn over on their stomach. They're going to put their hands out as if to push up, to get off the ground. This is where you're straddling them on their back. Okay, so their hands are like this. So what you're going to do is basically you're going to trap the arm, the right arm or the left arm, whatever strong arm you think this person might be. You're going to control the wrist. And with your other arm, you're going to lace underneath and then you're going to pull. And what will happen is that arm, which was in this position, what you have now done is you pulled it underneath and now pulled it in back. Now they're flat on the ground. Now you put your knee in their back. You control this arm. You flatten them out. Okay? Now with your other arm, you see their arm is trapped. Their strong arm is trapped. They can't hit you. They can't do shit. By now you have them, and you should cross your legs in the front if you can. Close the guard. I know you guys say don't fucking don't fight in the guard and all that shit. Well, if this is like a fight that you really are not intend on, putting this person in the hospital, and they're already on the ground, then you need to finish them within 30 seconds. Okay? If you're really good at jiu-jitsu, you can just sit on top of them and they're gonna fucking flail around like a turtle and shit. And it's like playing with a kid. That's what it's like fighting with somebody who knows jiu-jitsu. So it's not something that, if someone is a threat to you, now I look at it as somebody who knows how to fight, that these people do not know how to fight. And if they know how to fight, it's only boxing. Ooh, listen to that hurricane come through, you guys. Wow. Amazing. Amazing winds, man. The winds are so powerful. It's amazing here. But let's go back to this, talk about how, okay, Mexico is dangerous in certain areas. And, okay, here are the danger levels. Let's start at the bottom. The bottom of the people that commit most of the crimes are organized gangs and people that are poor, that have been rejected by their families for committing crimes and doing drugs and having mental problems. That pretty much sums up all the criminals in Mexico. And they all live and work together in like syndicates. They all drive. I mean, for me to say they all drive illegally is like an understatement, because every single person that I know that lives here and drives a car doesn't have a license, has never taken a class, has never looked at a book to get their license. And if they did get their license, they went to Mexico City and paid the 800 pesos and got their driver's license. So driving in Mexico is the second most dangerous thing. Dangerous. You have flash floods here. They have people that get drunk every day and night and crash cars like you would never believe. You guys remember, I was volunteer fire rescue my first like 3 years or whatever. And all I saw was over and over and over again two things: drunk drivers and people texting. Drunk drivers and people texting. And they would all crash the exact same way. What they would do, okay, I'll give you a little representative. They would always drive their car and they would always pull off to the right, and they would either get T-boned or the car would go under the guardrail like this. Okay? It would go under the guardrail. So they would be trapped under their steering wheel. So if you do this same rescue over and over and over and over again, you get quite proficient at it. But then there was one time there was a guy that literally weighed 400 pounds. And getting him out of a little tiny Mazda 3 was no joke. So, but fortunately, we had Captain Resendiz with us, who at the time was the probably #1 rescuer in the entire country. He was one of the best rescuers and one of the best instructors for fire rescue in the country. Now, we can fight about that, but as far as I'm concerned, his level of professionalism and his follow-up, because you don't learn everything in 1 day, 2 days in your seminars. You're talking about weeks and weeks and weeks of training, having problems, getting rid of issues, having equipment doesn't work, and being prepared, like being 5 or 10 steps ahead. Before you even get out of the truck, you already know what you're supposed to do, and you've communicated that with your whole team. That's what this guy, he impressed upon me the same stuff that you learn in the military. What are you doing? Look at this dog, you guys. You guys ever seen a server before? There's one. And a good one at that. But I was like, what was that noise? But anyway, not to get too far off track here, but security in Mexico is like, look like this. You're so used to like 4-minute rescue calls, and the fire rescue sends the crash. If there's a car accident on the highway, man, you would be lucky if they got to you within 45 minutes. Now maybe 20 minutes with the ambulance, but crash rescue, you got 45 minutes to an hour to if you bleed out. So that's why I think the fire department is more important to have better navigational equipment and GPS and things like that, which is what I came with and started teaching lessons on and so on. I got to see what's going on because, oh, I see. We're having a bit of a windstorm here. Having a bit of a windstorm. It's blowing everything out of the. Yeah, dog. So, okay. So the next part about Mexico that's dangerous is relationships. Okay. I'm going to start with the women first because you may or may not know you're being finessed. And finessed by the best of the best. And so I don't even have to know their name. I don't need to know who they are. They could be pastors in their church. It won't make a damn difference. Okay. What in the world is wrong? Hey, dogs. Hey. Security wise, if you have dogs, you're good. Security wise for your house. Now, I had an example earlier, and damn if I didn't use it. Okay. You might live in a rental house. It doesn't really matter because you can modify your house to secure it. Nobody will care. In fact, nobody will even know. This, by the way, is non-GMO. God damn, what is it called in English? But it's hibiscus tea and doesn't have any sugar. Mexico, you got to stay hydrated all the time, especially when in a hot area. And here I am. Okay, so let's talk about what happened today. Homeboy, okay, this is a kid, probably 21, 22 years old, slightly taller than me, thin. And maybe, I mean, I have it all the time. This happens a lot. So if you get down to Latin America, you're going to find that people want to check you, they want to try you, they want to check your boundaries. They're always cock blocking. They are space invaders, but they are not people that really, if they're sober, okay, drunk, fucking forget it. Fucking drunks can. I had 50 drunks out here, outside, in this section, right where I am, where 3 roads intersect, where 50 dudes were out there just haymaker fucking beating the shit out of each other. And it was one of those day or nights that I just happened to be here. And I was having like meditation, and I was just going through all this stuff, and going through I'd gone through therapy session that day, and I'm trying to have this like breakthrough. Anyway, and so outside, I look outside, and there's dudes just pushing, and they're all like cowboys. They're not like dudes dressed in street clothes or anything with nice stuff or anything. They're all cowboys. They're all charros. And I don't know where the hell they came from, but they were drunk as just they couldn't hit themselves in the ass with both fists. I mean, I could single-handedly have gone out there and just handed boxing gloves to people and said, "Hey, let's do this right. All right, you go over here and you go over here. Okay, you are team Bendejo and your team Culero." And then I would let them go to town and beat the fuck out of each other with the gloves and stuff, instead of them fucking pushing each other and cracking their fucking heads open. Then I got to go out there with my own fucking first aid kit, put gloves on, call 911, fucking bandage these guys up, or put them back together or whatever. And hopefully none of them shoots the other one. Because a lot of times when these dudes get drunk, they just fucking just look for any reason to beat the piss out of somebody. I meditate every day to have the restraint. Not that I am violent or anything like that, but there are a lot of people that will try and provoke you here if they know that you can fight, or if you're even slightly muscular. If they feel like they can cross because a lot of people have no boundaries, none, like no boundaries whatsoever. But it brings me back to the point. It says that the devil rules this world, and that song by Slayer says evil has no boundaries. And I thought about that, and just so you guys know, okay, I'm a born again Christian. I am a Serbian Orthodox. I'm committed to that. And I'm waiting for the Lord Jesus to come back with a sword and coming out of his mouth, or however he's doing it. Okay, don't care. You can, judge and all that stuff and say, fucking, you're dumbass for believing in anything religion or anything like that. No, 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 senor. I am not affiliated with religion. Okay. I have a relationship with the Most High God. Okay. That's a big difference. That's like having a big brother with you all the time. And I'll leave it at that. You don't need to, dive into why not. Why not join the winning fucking side? You know this motherfucker is coming back. You know that the world is evil. You see it. It's too obvious. So if you're not sure, pick Jesus Christ, okay? Because he's the only one that gets fucked with. No, they don't mess with the Muslims, they don't mess with the Jews, they just mess with Christians. And all the other sects in between and all of it, you guys, look. If you have died and you have seen that there is something else on the other side, and you come back and you suddenly realize none of this shit that we think is so important is important at all. So now I face things like this where a dude is like fucking physically threatening me. And I am not the guy I'm a pressure fighter, so I push forward when I fight. So I always move forward, move forward, move forward. Now, if you'll observe with me, here it is, this dude, and his father comes out. God bless him. I wish I had a father that would come out and defend me even when I was wrong. And he knew he was wrong because he's a pain in the ass and he acts up and shit. So okay, so here I am. This is the right side. If you guys are watching this, this is the right side. Okay, now with the right hand from the distance where I was, we were within pushing distance. So here is a person right in front of me like this, okay, and squared off to me too, feet planted like this. Me, I am not fucking. No, sir. I'm at 45-degree angle. My hands are where I can very quickly defend if he decides to hit me in any angle, with any hand, with any punch, at any speed, at any distance. So it doesn't matter. And if he did hit me, it's not going to hurt me. But it's going to make him really fucking tired. And that's the thing about fighting, is that I do this for fun. I don't think you guys understand. There's a lot of dudes. We don't go around looking for fights. So, but what we do is train all the time and spar every single day. So if you spar every single day, if someone threatens you in the street, you have no fear whatsoever because you're just sparring again. And you just practice over and over because you're going to get hit in sparring and it's going to knock your fucking teeth fucking loose. And if it does, you know what I'm saying, you're going to get your ass whooped occasionally. Listen, guys, I have all fucked up teeth, all fucked up ears, all fucked up joints, everything else. So the big danger is not physical violence, because there's only two kinds that are done here. But watch this. Okay, just go with me. I want you to take your two fingers and put them together like this and just start tapping on your forehead right here. Okay? Start tapping on your forehead. Now start tapping on the side of your nose. Okay, just tapping like that. Okay? Now tap on the side of your head. Now right here under your eye. Just keep tapping. And then right here under your nose. Then right here under your lips. Then right here on your knockout spot, right here on the button, you just want to touch that. And then right here on your throat, you can. It's a form of meditation, a form of relaxation that's called tapping. Somehow it releases you from horrible memories. Don't know how accurate it is, don't know if it works. All I know is that therapy changes from time to time, and that was when I went to. And the therapist was really trying hard to, do hypnotherapy with me. And I'll be honest with you guys, the first therapist that I went to that did hypnotherapy with me was a lady named Franny Coverman that was in Florida somewhere. And she was a hypnotherapist. And I desperately needed to be released from this fucking war. Okay, so that I could be a normal dude, try and feel okay about myself and not feel like a piece of shit. Because I did do a lot of piece of shit. I know I did. So I was dealing with a lot of self-hatred, a lot of like survivor's remorse, loss, every single thing that okay, because most veterans, if they become alcoholics, are going to bitch about everything. And they'll always be the victim. So that was what I was battling with more than anything, was trying to get out of this fucking victim mindset that I'm all fucked up now and I'm homeless. But it's somebody else's fault and they need to pay me and all this shit. And it may have taken months for some guys, sometimes years for some guys. Some guys have been waiting since Vietnam. I don't know if they've been waiting that long, but it was very, very hard. And to make matters worse, I don't remember who the president was, but gas was also $5 a gallon. And I remember that I had to spend, on average, about $20 a day on gas. This is when I was very young, by the way. So I was doing myself the disservice of pushing myself into a space of anxiety and pain and fear, and then the type of competition that involves money. And those are the kind of competitions in work or something like that, or competing with the Joneses or whatever. These are all things that are exterior that if you die, I'm saying this hypothetically, if you were to somehow have an NDE, which is a near-death experience, and you travel to this other realm where you meet the Lord Jesus, and he may or may not look like you. Doesn't matter. Clear your thoughts and your minds and your imagination of any preconceived ideas of what you could possibly imagine what heaven looks like. Some of us, it was like the in-between heaven. We were not in hell. If anything was close to hell, is be where there are demons and the devil, which would be this world. If the devil rules this world, we're going to experience a tolerable but very uncomfortable level of demonic spirits. They're going to mess with us. Because if you're on the Lord's side, you're going to get messed with by the devil, period. And if you publicly proclaim that you love the Lord, and you know what, you went to church as a kid or whatever with your grandma, and here you are now, you've had failure upon failure upon failure in every area of life. And now you feel like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and try and go back to what I knew and maybe go back to church. But if you go to today's modern church, you're going to be surprised that they don't talk about the devil. They don't talk about sin. They don't talk about hell. They don't talk about the things that they believe were instituted to make us afraid of the government or whatever. But that's not what the Bible says, okay? It says, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And that means everybody. And of all of the sinners, I am of the worst. So I am no saint. I'm the worst dude there is. I don't know why I would call for this kind of deal. Why would you get somebody that doesn't have the foul mouth? But that's my thing. I don't have any fear whatsoever. I don't care. I know the Lord is real. I know that I've been sanctified by his blood. I know that. Okay, and no, there is no question above, beyond all shadow, questions, all doubts, period, that the Lord spoke to me and came into my life. I believe it was 1991, right as we were having the Gulf War. That's when we came through. Let me see who is talking to me. Okay, so I'm gonna close this. Listen, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but I'm putting the chicken bus together, and so I have to get everybody on board, working together. Where in the hell did everybody go? It was like 7 dudes. Now there's none. Well, that's okay. But anyway, I want to go downstairs and I'm going to organize those pieces. I'm going to put them up as if they were the how the chicken bus goes together. You guys want to see that? All right, great. Because it's the front panels, it's the 2 front parts. So, but in the meantime, let me just take a second break because I got to go piss so bad, you guys. I am funny. We got to talk about defending ourselves and still follow through with this lecture. Just bear with me 1 second. You know, one of the things I dislike about much YouTubers and podcasters, especially if they're into bodybuilding, especially bodybuilders, they're disgusting eaters to begin with. And if I drink something, it's gonna make the disgusting noise unless you're into that. And that's not the kind of people I want. Good old Mexico. I think you'd enjoy living here. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot to see, a lot of fun things, and it's very inexpensive. I don't think the walking tours are necessary, to be honest with you. Hold on 1 second. We're going to go downstairs. So let's finish this story off. This is story time Sunday. A true story Sunday. Because this just happened today. So anyway, the kid, he decides he wants to be combative with me. But interesting move he made. Instead of squaring up to me, he called his dad and his uncles because he knew that he was in fucking trouble physically and that he was basically scoffing at me. And I'm like, dude, all right, somebody call this fucking kid's parents because he's about to get choked the fuck out. But without having to do that, like I said, I'm at peace all the time. I'm always at peace. I'm always standing and observing stuff like this because a lot of times these are just people that are NPCs or demonically possessed people. Who knows? I mean, look at the power of the sun. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Are you guys seeing this? You see that pulsating right there on the wall? You see it? Look at it. It's amazing. I don't even know what the hell that is. Whatever it was. But anyway, they knew that I could smash the living shit out of this kid, and so I'm glad that his dad stepped in because I felt a bond immediately with his dad. Because, like, you know what? If my kids did this to you, this is what my reasoning was. I mean, I'm like, look, we're neighbors, man. I'm not your enemy. That's what I immediately went to. When he squared up to me like this, immediately what I did was I turned so that his right shoulder was to my left shoulder. And what this does is it takes away any power whatsoever he might have if he wanted to swing on me. And I said, and I looked forward, and I spoke closely to him, and I spoke to him in a calm voice. And I said, why would you allow him to even think that he could insult me? Who in the hell? I mean, I'm like, you need to talk to this kid, all right? And so he's like, well, what's the problem? I said, what's the problem? I said, well, the problem is that for whatever reason, this kid's out of control. This kid is like 20 something years old. You know, he's talking to me, being a smartass to me. To me, I'm the one that put the fucking house fire out and was next door to you. You remember that night, right? All three of us working together, putting out this house fire. Your neighbors, making sure that the gas tank didn't blow up. Remember that? And I'm the only one at night that is doing podcasts at 3 a.m. in Germany. And I'm outside on the balcony watching all the bums and all the thieves from 3 a.m. till 5 a.m. walking to and fro, looking whatever they could steal. And so my whole point is that me doing a podcast out on the balcony, talking all loud and shit, having lights up and stuff, and having Mr. Culero up there every single night. It looks like there's two people up there, and I have lights on, and I'm talking as if I'm doing a class. And so the bums and the thieves and everybody else had decided this road ain't the fucking road to pass down at night. At the hours that they do all their stealing. See, the reason why I say that Mexico can be dangerous is not from the bums. They don't know how to fight. Bums carry kitchen knives that they find in the garbage. Okay. The only danger with bums is if they were to actually stick you with one of these things or if they infected you with their blood. Your danger is if you were to punch one in the nose. I don't think you guys take these things into consideration. Like, I want people to try and punch me in the nose. Because, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of people do these haymaker punches. And it's always a haymaker. Or it's, you know what I mean? And maybe they're doing, but you always square. If they're squaring off to you, you want to make sure that their right shoulder is to your left shoulder. De-escalate by immediately putting the blame on the person, but at the same time taking responsibility for you losing your temper. And what that does says, all right, I'm ready to go. I'm taking one step. I'm asking you to take two to de-escalate this, because there's only two places that this ends up. It's in the hospital or in a cemetery. And I don't want to do either of those. I don't even want to teach this kid a lesson because it's not my fucking job to teach the kids manners. Because we have kids here that are completely disrespectful towards adults in general. And yet here we have a prime example of several that are actually buddies that are here close by. Their fathers admire me, which is surprising to me that they would even fucking for a second step in. I know they shit their pants when they walked outside and go, oh, you fucking picked a fight with John Wick. Not that I am John Wick, but I'm the only blonde hair, blue eyed guy within a radius of who knows how long here. And so they admire me, but at the same time, they're afraid of me, but at the same time, they would not think twice about calling the cops on me. And another thing is one of our neighbors is a cop, which I'm sure they're good friends because they're neighbors. But I'm not here to provoke fights with people. And I even told the guy, I said, you know that I'm not here to mess with people. So to accuse me of, messing with the dogs or saying that dogs are not your dogs, it's not your street, you do not live here. Who are you to talk to me like that? And now I want you guys to stand by these things sometimes, guys. If that's definitely down here, you guys. And if you're in the United States, be careful. Be careful. All right. You can roll right over people now. Okay. But they take a lot of offense to stuff and they call the cops for no reason. And you might tell people, and I'm going to tell you guys, I use my hand not to hit people. I use my hand to create a distance. Now, how many of you guys recognize what this is? How many of you know what this is? If you do not know what this is, I want to show it to you because this is your best buddy. Okay? There's two things. The two de-escalators. What do you think the two de-escalators are? There's peace and there's violence. There's peace and there's violence. There are only a few men in this world that can command groups of violent men to defend not very trained or actually very, very, very vulnerable people. And for any of you that thinks for a fucking second, just because, all the wars have been figured out to be bullshit, setups, money grabs, all that shit doesn't matter about us. Us veterans did our jobs. We were trained. We trained others. We trained the best. Some of us were in friendships with rock stars in the military, pilots, frontline guys, dude. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to try and defend anything that come to my military service because I had quite the very colorful but yet mediocre career in the military. And when you get an honorable discharge, you get a thing that's called a DD-214. And DD-214s don't lie. Not that I'm a big shot or anything. I'm just saying that the units that I was assigned to just happened to be some of the best units forwardly deployed in the world. And there were people that now are writing books and doing podcasts and shit. And I know these guys. And then there's the other half of the rest of the guys that murked themselves, that deleted themselves. And then the rest of them that are still sitting in line at the fucking VA, still standing in line waiting for their $7 of travel pay so they can eat that day. So I know a lot of veterans live with their families, and you have that support of family with you. One of the dangers of being in Mexico is that you don't have anybody to fall back on. You have yourself. And you are left to your own devices so that there's really no fucking up to the point where, there's people tattling on you and you're going to change your ways. It's only you. Only you can direct your thoughts, your thinkings, your goals, and your outcomes. And a girlfriend or anything like that is not going to make it's not going to make a bit of difference. It's not going to make any difference at all, having a girlfriend or not having a girlfriend, because you are always going to be with you wherever you go. And if you can kind of just live your life as if you don't need validation from anybody. And I know that's almost impossible to even think about, because what do? Oh, that guy looking across the street, what's he looking at? Why is he looking at me like he's not friendly? I'm gonna go over there and talk to him, and I'm gonna ask him why he's not looking friendly to me. You see what I'm saying? These are all perceptions. These are all just visuals that cause something in the mind to say this person is looking for conflict. Because in a way, men always size up other men. Men always size up other men. No matter if they can fight, want to fight, don't matter. When you walk into a room where there's other dudes, and just say, for example, you're a guy that does jujitsu or is jacked or whatever. There's a lot of times where you'll scan the room and you'll look for your people, but at the same time you'll wonder how many people you could fight and beat up. Not just defend yourself against, but beat up. And I know that we do it to other men. Other men talk about this. We talk about guys that are we physically able, if this guy starts shit, to stand up to ourselves. Because you just got to remember that other men are not always your buddies. Not many dudes are there to support you. Much other dudes are rather annoying too. I don't know if you hang out with lots of dudes. I mean, a lot of younger guys, they hang out in groups and shit like that, which is understandable. It goes away with age. And if they go off to school, they're too busy to be fucking around, sitting in a park smoking doobies and stuff, and drinking Old English 8-ball. I used to drink the shit out of that stuff. And what was the other stuff? What was it? Steel Reserve. Steel Reserve. That was a big old malt liquor that was about this big. It came in a silver can. Now, this was before your time, guys, but in old days, they used to stuff all the beers with lots and lots and lots of alcohol. And I think it was like 6% booze or something, 6% alcohol. And just so you guys know, my anniversary date was the 19th of March, 2002. Now, I'm not telling you that to impress you, but I'm just telling you because it impresses the shit out of me. Okay, because that was 22 years ago last week. 22 years ago, no drinking, not touching even fucking mouthwash. And I'm not, special in any way. I just don't have the desire to drink. Haven't had it for a long, long time. I know that the consequences of if I drink, then I'm going to find out why it's dangerous here in Mexico. Because I'm finding out that the gringos that go to jail here are the ones that fuck up so bad. And a lot of times, if not every time, it's always an alcohol related incident. For example, the dummies that drive backwards on the interstate. Do you have any idea that cars parked on the side of the interstate almost 100% of the time get clipped by tractor trailers and other heavy equipment? And yeah, and people walking. 5 people a week die getting hit by cars, pedestrians walking. So you got to understand that you just experience all this stuff and you realize that Mexico is far, far more dangerous than most Western countries because they don't have guardrails on the fucking parts of the highway. Sometimes there's no lights. Oh, you hear that? I thought for a second I was going to have to respond. Do you hear that? But anyway, back to the lab. Some areas of the Autobahn, the highway, not very, very many kilometers, maybe 2 or 3 miles worth of highway that have no little lights, reflective lights on the sides no stripes on the sides, no lights above, nothing. It blacked out, black tar, brand new, beautiful. Driving, lights on, and man, oh, it's you cannot see your hand in front of your face when it's dark out there because out there in the mountains, and you're going down these, nice giant long mountainsides, highway, and you have to see, and sometimes there's no guardrails, and a lot of times there's little canals on the sides that are a good meter and a half wide. I know I've fallen into them going no, not four. I was riding my dune buggy and I got stuck and I needed to get towed back. So I didn't have shit and I didn't have a winch or nothing. I go walk back. I have my helmet in my hand. I see this this is like a little creek or something like that. But I think that what fooled me was it had like a green tops. It looked like grass. So I thought maybe there might have been mud or something underneath it, but no, sir. Stepped directly into it, went completely over my head into this canal, which, by the way, smelled just like good old farm canal water. And I mean, if you remember tadpoles in the 1980s, then you know that smell. But sewer water, basically, or just rainwater or whatever. And I got my helmet in my hand. I'm like, oh, fuck, so I'm treading water with boots in one arm, throw my butt, shit, god damn, oh my god, get completely covered in mud. This is like muck up over my head all the way up to here, just completely covered. Now I'm like not far from where I live. I live in a gated community that has a golf course and all this beautiful shit, which there is no danger, except for maybe the gardeners like trying to steal your girlfriend's panties and stuff. They do that, just so you guys know. They're pretty disgusting. Anyway, so back out here, covered in mud. I'm about a mile away from where I live, which is a gated community with the stuffiest of stuffy, rich Mexicans. And I say rich, I mean the very, 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 very rich and politicians of all of Mexico live right here. And their neighbors are the cartel family members who don't associate with each other, do not talk to each other, whatever. None of my fucking business. But the nicest area, and I'm covered in mud that smells like shit from head to toe. And I got to get to my house, and I have my helmet in my hand. And as I'm going through the gate, he's like, "Oh wow!" He goes, "Looks like you had fun." I said, "I'm still having fun, man. I'm just gonna go take a shower and go back and do it again." And that's how you respond. That's how you have to respond. My whole point is this: if people are disrespectful, is something wrong with them? They don't respect you. And the only way to combat disrespect is sometimes with violence, violent words, or the perception of you being able to beat their fucking ass. And I don't say that you should beat people's ass. No, on the contrary, always find a solution that is better, because violence, it doesn't solve anything if you're first of all coming, if you're to blame. And in this situation, there's a miscommunication because the guy speaks Spanish. I speak Spanish too. He has a cognitive dissonance. It tells him, I do not understand what the fuck this guy just said to me, nor do I understand what he is doing. So my perception is reality, and now I'm going to be combative with this guy because A, I'm a younger guy. B, my dad and my uncle are both cops and live across the street. And if he touches me or anything happens, they're going to come out and beat his ass. But when they came outside, they didn't realize is that John Wick was the guy that he started the shit with. And then they bring the dog outside, and his dog is vicious as a motherfucker. The problem is that vicious ass dog I used to go visit every day when I was homeless, living in front of the fucking barbershop. And I used to come over there and bring him bones all the time and pet him and stuff every single day until this family adopted the dog. So you're gonna bring your dog out to this fight, that dog will beat your ass because that dog loves me. I pulled thorns out of that dog's paw. Now, remember something, guys? You guys remember the story about the lion that gets this thorn in his paw? The mouse pulls it out. The mouse pulls the thorn out of the lion's paw. So when he's in trouble later on in the story, the lion comes and saves him. Well, that's exactly what happened with this dog, which, by the way, used to run around all the time in the park where I do all my classes and meditation and stuff and do on my own therapy. There were a lot of these plants that had these thorns on them. They were just like, wheel killers. And they would flatten people's tires and get in people's feet and inside their tennis shoes. And they have a long thorn on them. And this dog, by the way, his name is Rocky, comes around and is like this, hopping on one foot on 3 feet. And I was like, come here, Rocky. And he comes over and he puts his foot right there on me. And I just literally budge it, pull it out. Puts his foot down and he's fine. And I throw that in the garbage. The very next day, now remember something, Rocky is a very, very vicious dog, but I'm not afraid of anything. You know where you are right now. You have nothing to be afraid of. That's why the angels always said, be not afraid. That's always, fear not, I am with you. Always said, be not afraid. And I know it's nerve-wracking when people are fucking aggressive. If you got with me, I would scare you. You would understand like, okay, we do scenarios here where people get robbed. We do scenarios with practice. Not real knives, but the real gummy fucking knives. And Krav Maga, whether it works or not, definitely takes the edge off of fucking fear. Meditation takes the edge off of confrontation. But it also takes the fear of confrontation away. So in the event of a confrontation, you don't have any fear at all to say concisely without being emotional. Look, if I was in your position and this happened to you, how do you think you would respond? So you always turn the tables on them when they're in the wrong, because here in Mexico, let me tell you something, nobody takes responsibility. I don't want to talk about those people, the other people that don't like to take responsibility or accountability. Not talking about any specific color, I'm talking about gender. You see what I'm saying? That like they would literally argue because they always see that sign language, that's the need to be right all the time. And it's because they have like the combative blood or whatever it is. And I've seen it and observed it so many times that now I know how they move. So as a person that enjoys fighting, I like getting into fights. I do like fist fighting. And it's not necessarily because of I'm trying to kill these people, because people don't quite understand about people don't understand about street violence in other countries. You see, I did not know the rules here. Are you allowed to fight? Yes, you are allowed to fist fight in public. No, you're not allowed to drink beer in public. I know that. Where was that at? When I was out there drinking, it's probably when they changed the law. That's how long it's been. 22 years. That's how long you're not allowed to drink in public here. Period. No alcohol in public. Which is ironic because you're allowed to fist fight in public. And another thing is, like the United States right now, where there's like crime running rampant and the police are not allowed to respond to certain shit and all that stuff. That's like what it's like to live here. I mean, I'm not minimizing the dangers that's going on right now in the States, because that's serious shit. And you're going to have to listen to my story in order to be able to defend yourself, because there's some shit that you may or may not know. If you do understand this, great. Use these effectively all the way to the end. If there's some shit that goes down, you don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to turn the camera over here to the door. Okay? Now I'm going to give you 3 points on the door, which is down here, one in the middle, and one here at the top. And on every door, typically an interior door, is made out of usually made out of marshmallows and cardboard, and then it is covered over with a veneer of fake wood. So those are okay to stop an intruder temporarily, but they'll get through if they want to because it'll snap like a twig. And this door that we have over here is a solid wood door. And what I installed on all three of the hinges are 3-inch screws that are this big. And what you do is you'll start at the beginning, you start in the middle. You'll take that out and you'll just replace, take out, replace, take out, replace each screw with a drill or whatever, driver, and change all of them. And in the event you have some shit that they're not able to break off your hinges, because that's how they get into everything. Fuck the doorknobs and your fancy locks and your smart locks. They have ways to scan smart locks here and disable them in seconds without even, making a noise, sound. That's all your Airbnbs, all that stuff that you gringos buy into. So those are things that you're going to have to do to protect yourself in Mexico, because Mexico can be very dangerous. And a lot of times that, like I said, squatters to a new level of squatters here. Here you will have people that basically abandon their houses. So one house will be right over here, like the one example is across the street. That one across the street has been abandoned for about 6 or 7 years. So during that time, all the junkies want to move in there. They set up shop. They bring all this trash and they sort through garbage, and then they have this mountains of just garbage and shit everywhere. And it's all contaminated because they're probably doing meth or some drugs, or crack or whatever. And it all goes through cycles where it's all like homeless people and drug addicts and drug dealers and drug addicts and drug dealers at this one place. And crazy people all over the fucking road at night. This is why I set up these things to set. We have a camera system out here that's like pointing in all directions, like it's at an intersection of a highway. So security is a big deal here because every single day, every single night, at night between the hours of 3 and 5 a.m., there are thieves out here riding on bikes that are pulling open doors, checking to see if the cars have alarms, if the door's open. They sneak back by, they check it out, they want to see if there's any change in there. Maybe there's a stereo they can pull out, maybe there's something of value. Or they'll go outright and steal it, but that's a different story. That's very organized. And what they do here is they have 5 or 6 guys that are all involved with this somehow. And they'll pick cars that are stick shift so that they can put them in neutral and push them. That goes for motorcycles too. The thing that really was the straw that broke the camel's back wasn't the time that they stole the light bar that was on top of one of the kids' vehicles that we had literally just had installed. And then next thing you know, 5 in the morning, one of the dogs is going crazy, and there it is. There's a guy running off with it down the road. Junkies will steal anything. I just happen to live in what used to be, probably still is, one of the most dangerous barrios in this whole region. And right next to where we are now is now the most dangerous in the whole region. And when I say that, I mean, like, they found like a vehicle or two with the bodies of people, 12 bodies or 9 bodies stuffed into it, closed up, and then put on the highway and set on fire for the fucking firefighters to put out. They go there, and then there's 9 bodies inside this fucking SUV. And I don't know how many vehicles they found, but those are the ones they set on fire. And from February up to literally last week, we had 3 firefighters get killed, shot dead, including one commander. And I don't know if these guys are at long range or short distance or small arms or what. All I know is that one guy was driving, and they're shooting him while they're driving. So there's really no way of, countering that. If you're, I mean, if they're being ambushed. So if they just happen to be heading towards a vehicle fire, they see this big, tanker truck that's on its way to go put a vehicle fire out. And then on the way to the vehicle fire, the cartel stops the fucking firefighters and shoots them and kills them all. Then they go and start killing the police. The police were like phase 2 or some shit. And then last week or week before, no, I think it was last week, the president of the Protección Civil, civil protection, and the police resigned, and they changed leaders so that the cartel will stop shooting the firefighters. So I'm in a dangerous zone, so you guys know. So it's not scary to me. Not that I'm all big and bad or anything, but it's not scary to me because, listen, if you already know, look, man, if you're gonna fucking shoot me, kill me good. Because what's over there is way the fuck better than it's over here. Not that I'm suicidal, not that I would wish that upon anybody or myself, but I'm just saying that it seems rather stupid to be afraid of such a thing as death. It's even stupider to think that these people can fight or shoot. They can't do either. Now, at close range, they can fucking shoot you in the leg or something like that, and you're going to be hurt for whatever, for some time. But in general, the most dangerous things that you're going to deal with is going to be traffic. And then there's people that try and fucking hit you. If you have a nice car and you probably have insurance, they're going to try and hit you from the front, the back, the side to side, just to fuck your car up. If you have a nice car, they're going to, if you're parked near them, they're going to back into it. They're going to just fuck it up. They're just perpetual line crossers. Okay? So get yourself fixed in your house. You always are safe. That's what you do. You want to make sure that on sliding glass doors, that if you have not done this already, you need to secure all of your glass doors. Now, hopefully, you've never broken the glass in your doors, but there's different types of glass that is better than the glass that's probably in your door. See, if you took a hammer right now and if I was to take a hammer and smash this glass door at your house, it would smash into a bunch of little pieces that would all fall down like chiclets, right? Okay, that's not good. Because in the event you put any kind of protective layer that would keep that, you think that's going to be something that's going to be bulletproof or whatever proof or leak proof, and you could smash it, the window falls into pieces, then you can just peel it out. Okay, that's what they teach in Fire Academy, guys. So just so you know, that it's just regular glass, it's safety fucking glass. It breaks, and it breaks in a million pieces. That's not safe at all. You need plate glass that breaks in big pieces that would, it's like a guillotine if you break it. But then you put in your iron fucking coating or your rhino coating or whatever the hell it is you guys call it, that you put it in rolls. It's very thick and people call it bulletproof, but it's not bulletproofing. But that stuff right there with that kind of glass, it doesn't matter how hard they fucking hit the glass, it's not going to break. It's amazing. It doesn't matter how brittle or thick or thin the fucking glass is. They're not coming through that shit if it is that kind of glass. They would literally have to take a hammer and a chisel and hammer and chisel into the window to break pieces into smaller pieces to be able to break the film, which you would have to cut with a razor knife, by the way, and that would be difficult to do because it's film, man. It's really thick. It's like thicker than a bottled water plastic bottle. So it's pretty thick, and you cannot break that stuff. Probably with heavy artillery or something like that. But that's what you want to do if you want to be safe. Now let's talk about psychological warfare. What did we do in World War II to defeat the Nazis using psychological warfare? Well, a lot of times the people who were responsible for a lot of the victories for North America, for the Allies, was because of trickery. And they would have like cannons and things like that. But instead of having cannons, they would actually have a telephone pole as the cannon. You know, it looked just like a cannon from a distance. And when the Nazis would fly over, they would see us stacked, pretty deep. These were inflatable tanks, inflatable planes. It was a theater production and a full-on theater production of psychological warfare. So what do I do for psychological warfare? Well, one way is to have an armed guard outside of your house in a position where he could take cover if necessary, needed to. But it's also important that everyone knows that you have armed guards in Mexico. If there are armed guards, that means that he is your first line of defense even after you're locked. Hang on one second. Some good things to have are yapping ass dogs. Okay. If you can't have yapping ass dogs and you can't have armed guards, then you want to have something that gives the illusion of an armed guard. Or if you have friends or if you have people that rent from you, or whatever, so that they know that you're part of this too. Okay. And you want to always have your armed guard ready to go. You want to have them always ready to go, always visible from the street. Why visible and not invisible? Someone always loves to ask the question. Someone always likes to ask the question. What's better, no lights so they can't see very good, or all lights so they can see everything? Well, you want to create blindness. You want to create that layer of protection and security, which, by the way, if you do get the film, you can get the mirrorized film. So that way they really have to fucking get close to the door and look. Because if they're going to try and beat on it, okay, if they can't see anything of value inside or if they see a threat, they're going to second guess and then question whether or not they want to even try to fuck with this house, because it is easier to attack a target that doesn't have anything of security, that doesn't do anything whatsoever in terms of fortification. And if it's the inhabitants are weak fucks too that don't know how to fight or don't have guns, then you have to fucking rely on other people, which would be like the fucking cops, which ain't happening here. You follow me? It ain't happening here. So Mexico is dangerous because the possibility of you needing the police in a timely manner is going to cost you money. You need to know somebody. And that's why some people are very confident here. They don't have to worry about anything because they have friends that are police, or, uncles or brothers that are police, because everyone is related here in Mexico. You're the only asshole that's not related to anybody unless you came here with your kids or you're married to somebody. And even then, you're not protected. Okay. There is we used to have this conversation in Colombia, and there was this twinky little guy that lived in like Poblado. And he was a little jerk. He was like a redheaded guy. He must have been bullied as a kid because he just talked like little Caesar, little, Napoleon. Like Napoleon or whatever. And that's the kind of people that Those kind of people that start fights and shit. Or if they're raised by single mothers, a lot of times they grow up very feminine, very effeminate. A lot of times they don't take jobs that are very difficult or responsible or physical. They're the first to sue a lot of times. So yeah, those are in the workplace, and I doubt you're going to come down to Mexico and work. Okay, unless you own the building or something, or you know, got some gig or some shit like that. You're not going to come to Mexico to work. People make $3 a day here. So if you're thinking about moving down, you're going to think you're going to be rolling in the pesos. You know what? Unless the U.S. dollar collapses and that $3 goes a long, long way, you follow me? There ain't no fucking reason to move down here just to work. So for retirees or for maybe for a lot of you digital nomads that are, you know, just dying to go somewhere, let me give you a little easier step-by-step process on how to go from one part of Latin America that would be more Americanized and very safe all the way to Caracas, Venezuela, if you wish. And like I said, either way, I have gone and have lived in some of the hardest and most wonderful places in all of Latin America by accident. Found them by accident. Did you know I used to be Ricky Martin's neighbor? Now that was before they knew he was gay. I wonder if he was like, you know, looking in the fucking binoculars and shit from his fucking estate, looking into my shitty ass apartment. Let's see if Wedo's out. Let's see if that fucking gringo motherfucker's out there. You see what I'm saying? I would never have known. Then somebody invites me on a Thursday night to downtown San Juan, Puerto Rico, and says, "Hey, do you want to go to a salsa concert?" Sure, I'll go. Go down there, and there's this table full of old guys. Now, old guys, as in like guys that are like in their 70s and maybe older. And when the guy brought me up to the table to introduce me, they all stood up. And I was like, oh, wow, this is very nice. And he introduces me. Now, these are all guys that are salseros. Salseros are like salsa dance music orchestras. And these guys lead the orchestra like Ricky Ricardo on I Love Lucy. That's exactly what this is. They have these huge orchestras, and each one of these guys was the salsero. So not only was he the guy that sang, he wrote the music, the score, he wrote the dance moves. So every one of these guys in the Latin salsa world, I guess you would call it, from Cali, Colombia, the salseros from there, and it was their wives too. Which, by the way, Puerto Rican or Colombian wives, when they get old and they have all that operations done and stuff, they still look pretty good, you know. And these are dudes that are like 70 years old. So, and they, you know what I mean. So, but long and short of it is that I want to encourage you guys that not to be afraid, because once you realize where you are and how we have been tricked and brainwashed into believing that the world outside is fucking dangerous and we need to be always on guard looking to beat people's ass or fight, it's not true. Because if that was true, I mean, I don't want to beat someone's ass just to practice. I don't want to beat someone's ass to show them how tough I am. I do this right here. And then I really quickly switch the fucking logical hammer down on them and saying, if this was somebody that did this to you, and see, it's okay for you to do it to me, but now the switch, see if it was this, the shoe had been, if this had been reversed, how would you feel about this situation? Isn't that amazing? I don't even know what that is. I'm not, the lights aren't on in here, man. I'm just the sunlight. God, it looks like the curtains or something, or drapes or something, but I'm not doing anything. There's nothing I can see that's reflective outside. That's beautiful, whatever that is. So anyway, okay, some other ways that you can keep yourself safe. This is, by the way, Semana Santa. Semana Santa is Easter week, basically. and they have processions and things like that. I would never in a million years ever think I'd be saying this, but I think, regardless of your Catholic, Orthodox, Baptist, Presbyterian, Seventh-day Adventist, whatever you are, whatever thing that you subscribe to, take these things that these people do with a grain of salt, but at the same time show respect, because it might not be your cup of tea, but they literally walk here to Mexico City from Guadalajara, which, by the way, by bus is 3.5 hours, just to go to Mexico City, to the main temple there, and do their, I don't know if it's Guadalupe or whatever virgin it is. They go all the way, walk in like parades of people, and they walk down the highway, on the side of the highway, called peregrinos. And they walk to Mexico, and some guys have walked it on their knees from Guadalajara to there, on their knees, like the entire way. I'm like, that's got to be the best tile guy I ever heard of. He probably does tile. That's probably why he's on his knees. And he probably has real good knee cushions that have like those springs in them and shit, like the new tile guys have. Then it would be okay. And maybe some gloves. Because I don't know if you guys noticed, but Mexico ain't the tidiest of places when it comes to broken glass, especially the highway. So anyway, they come all this way. So they're very, very dedicated to this Catholic thing. Okay, the Catholic religion that they have. So in no way, shape, or form would you talk about politics or soccer. I was going to say football or soccer in Turkey to anybody for any reason. If you don't want your throat cut, if they don't agree with you. And I've had people that from Turkey in the US that really wanted to throw down with me one time, because we have this like inside joke in Turkey that was like, who are the champions of the world? And it would be any team. It didn't even matter to anybody. And I would say Champion Kim, and they would say whoever they think their team was their champion. And then I'd say Hayert Jimbom. And then I would do like I would just won and just had a goal. And they would get so fucking mad that they would get a knife out to stab me. And I was like, no, man, I'm just playing. It's a joke. I'm making a joke, man. No. And then I speak Turkish to him to get him to calm down. And I was like, really sorry, man. I didn't, because they do, Turks take soccer, I'm going to say football again, very seriously. And they'll fight you over it. They'll fight you over anything that has to do with politics or soccer, those two things. If you don't toy with them. Okay, so sometimes same goes true in Mexico. Some people are very passionate about stuff. And many of those times, remember this, guys, many of the wars that have happened in the world have become wars because of people that didn't like other people's religions. So if you meet somebody, let's just say, for example, you meet a girl here in Mexico or a guy, for some of you girls, and they happen to be a hardcore Catholic, and that's good. That means that they're like conservative. That means they're not probably run through. And they probably have a good family relationship. That's great. You are set. Go have fun. It might be a Catholic girl, but doesn't mean you can't introduce her to Jesus. So just remember that. But get yourself in there and present yourself as, a living sacrifice before God. In order to have the good life that you want, start doing some of the things that you need to do. Now, I'm looking at all my projects, guys, and it makes my heart sink, because we've had one of our welders died, one of our founder captains died, one of our kids' parents died. Those are two kids, actually, these boys. Their dad died. Then just all these executions from the cartel and shit. Not good. And Celaya is very, very hot. I'm not even going over there because it's not a good time to be. And if you guys don't know, I mean, I drive a patrol car that's made for the fire academy, and it doesn't have any of the fucking logos or colors or 911 or none of that shit. It's a private academic. It's not. It's a fire science academy, so it's even less to do with, putting out fires as far as machines go, and having those new recruits. It's not going to be any of that. So when they see me, all they see is the light bar, and they're like, "Oh, we have trouble." And then they see me and like 6 jack dudes in this fucking Audi patrol car, and they have to make a decision at that moment whether or not they want to fuck up. So that's why I think it's silly. A lot of this stuff is silly. Security is really, really operational security. Let's talk about that. Operational security. Your day to day is you get up, your routine when you want to go and do something. Strategy for moving from place to place, not always using the same route, not always calling Uber, maybe taking a taxi instead, or riding a bike, or doing something that camouflages you. Because in order to survive and thrive in Mexico, Latin America has a lot of crab barrel mentality people that do not want to see certain people succeed. Most definitely not some extranjero, not some foreigner that we don't trust. He has no family here, whatever. There's always some excuse to be envious of you or for some reason to criticize you. Because there's those 3 lines that's in Mexico. And that is the first line where they judge you and criticize you. The second line, which, the kind of like wonder why. They're going to judge you. They're going to criticize you. What's the third one? They're going to help you. So there's 3 lines. And the third line, that where they're going to help you, there's nobody in that line. But there is plenty of people in the line to criticize you and to judge you. Which is why I always tip my hat to anyone who takes the leap and says, I'm going to leave and I'm going to go to XYZ country, Panama, Grenada, whatever. I'm going to go live in Nicaragua. I'm going to go this. Whatever you decide to do, always take those little bits of advice seriously. Take notes. Expats know more than anybody. We're here, boots on the ground, 24 hours a day. We're not here on vacation. We know where stuff is. We know what the laws are. We know we're allowed to cross lines. And as far as a lot of Americans coming down here thinking that they're going to carry a gun around, you're not going to carry a gun around. You're not going to get a gun while you're here. I don't give a fuck if it's legal or not. You're not getting. If someone snitches on you and the police search and find a gun on you as a foreigner, you're looking at spending a minimum of a certain amount of time in a Mexican prison. And that's after you have to bribe the judge not to put you in a maximum security prison. You have to bribe the judge, you have to bribe the state attorney, you have to bribe the lawyers, you have to bribe their police officers to do the fucking job. You have to bribe people. There's no bonds, none of that shit. It's all a fucking setup. And if you put yourself in the position to get locked up because you're being a dummy because you don't take suggestions, or how about this? How about you don't take suggestions like don't wear gold jewelry, don't be on your phone in a shady area. It seems like logical common sense shit, right? But people do that, they get fucking robbed. That's your phone. Colombia, you can't have a phone in your hand and walk around. Those dudes will be on you in seconds. And I know they have all access to all the cameras, so they can actually set up people to rob them, to scare them, to whatever, and they know where all the blind spots are because they are hacked into the system too. All the cameras, the police. So there's a lot of things that make sense and not things that just don't make sense at all. And it sucks that you have to pay the police to do their job. It sucks you got to pay the state attorney's office to investigate stuff. And they want money from you, and it's like some absurd amount of money. I'm like, what? Like, really? Like the one that was in Mexico, he wanted 80,000 pesos, which is like $4,000. The police wanted 400 US dollars per officer just to show up and get the people out of my apartment. So you see, and it was like stand and talk and argue and all that stuff. I'm like, no, take the fucking ass to jail in my house. So it was a mess. So as you can see, there's a lot of things, a lot of fuckery, but I've been through it all. I've been through all the bullshit, and now right now I'm having to deal with somebody fraudulently fucking signing for a check and sending it to the States. And I'm like, these people have no filter, no couth, no say, I don't know what the word is. They like no conscience, period. It's take. And the only reason why someone would stop is because someone turned around and stole their shit, punched them in the mouth for stealing that person's stuff. So yes, violence is necessary sometimes in Mexico because some people do need a punch in the face. Because you do that, it'll train them forever. They will not try and steal other people's shit anymore after that. Okay, and I'm not talking about just walloping or anything like that, or holding them down and doing all this lynching bullshit like they do in Medellin, where they hold the thief down and like take the purse back, and then the woman beats the crap out of the thief, with her high heels and shit, and the guys just hold him down until the cops get there. That don't happen here. But I understand your point, and I want you to be safe. That's the thing. I don't want you to feel unsafe, but you're the worst part of it is your food. They have such good, healthy food here, but the sweets that are here and the breads that are here are so screwed up on the high glycemic index that you're bound to get diabetic anytime. So why I suggest people should go and get their DNA checked so they can realize how long they're going to actually live. You know that you can do that, right? You get your sequencing done, it tells you how long you are going to live. So anyway, there is that. But I just wanted to share that with you guys because we were so close to having the uniforms done. We were so close to having all these things good. But it is, people want to steal. So I'm really starting to push back now. And I want the neighbors to be involved too, but they're confused about me, and I don't want problems with my neighbors. Follow me? I just want them to realize that you don't fucking disrespect me. Talk to me like a fucking man, not as a fucking child. And what do you want? What motherfucker? I'll beat that kid's ass right in front of you. Okay, but that's not what I'm here to do. Okay, he's gonna get in my fucking face about shit. Get the fuck out of here. Jailhouse. Ike Turner fade. Look out. Anyway, I hope this was beneficial to you in some way. Because there's so much we can talk about as far as security goes. I just talked about the door, just talked about, turning to the guy's right side so he had no power. If he wanted to hit me, he couldn't. And just that personality of people here in Mexico, they don't really give a fuck. And I had a lot of NPCs here, man. A lot of people just are here as extras in your cast. I'm the professor. I hope you love this. I'm out.